All right. Hello, everyone. Okay, we can start the session. The first few slides are more administrative. So, and then I think we start with the actual session. My name is Vibha. I am a partner manager at Microsoft, and I cooperate with Mimmit Koodaa on the learning circles that we are organizing. A little bit about our cooperation with Mimmit Koodaa. We have been cooperating for almost since the Mimmit Koodaa started. We've organized many workshops, learning circles together. And this year we are aligning the cooperation with our Skills for Jobs program, which aims to address the skills deficit that we have in IT field. And we have this ambitious aim of having around or over 100,000 skilled professionals in the next 5 years. And obviously, if you're going to have 100,000 professionals, then women would be at least the half of it. So that's our ambitious goal, and we really thank Mimmit Koodaa for helping us with this goal. If you go next, I'll give you a bit about how this program works. So it is available on our website, aka.ms.toja.elämään. And there you find all of our learning tracks. Today we're going to talk about the practical AI course, but we also have a parallel track running for cybersecurity. And in the autumn learning circles, we will address the Power Platform and the AI developer micro degree. Okay. So yeah, in addition to, of course, learning the skills, it's important that you also have some kind of, certifications to prove it. So we have a cooperation with Educamu, which is the Kajaani University, where you can follow the same tracks. You can access all the material, and you can basically earn a certificate which you can then flaunt. So if you go next, you can see how you can do that. So here you can basically register yourself. And when you say that you are a student and provide your social security number to this website, then you can also earn ECTS out of this course. In 4 weeks, the ECTS that you earn are available in Study Info or Opintopolku. These are our partners, and the Skills for Jobs tracks have been created based on the skills deficits and the data that we receive from all of our partners. So if you'd like our partners to contact you if there is an interesting opportunity or internship opportunity, you have to indicate that in the Educamu site. So if you go next, we show you how to do that. So here you can see that you would like the partners to reach out to you, and that's how we then can share your information with our partners. Now about the tracks that we're going to run. So if you go next, there's the 2 tracks. I missed one slide. So you also get the certificate. There's the depending upon what course you do, you get a certificate. It's a credential that is verified that you can then flaunt on your LinkedIn site. And then I think now we have the learning circles. Yes, so we have 2 learning circles. So the first track is the practical AI. So that's the first one that Jonna is going to run today. I'll let her introduce herself. And the second one is the cybersecurity. That's already started. We had the first session. We'll probably have one more of the first session that Ilka delivered, because I understood that we'd like to have probably more participants joining this course. So we'll have one more session. I'll share the date soon. But then you can follow the sessions that are delivered by our Microsoft colleagues and partners coming together to help you through the cybersecurity micro degree. But that's all from my side. Sorry, I'm really kind of marathon because I would like to give Jonna all the time that she needs. So over to you, Jonna. I'll manage the lobby now.
Yeah, thanks, Vibha. So I guess we are getting started with the topic of today, and yeah, I'll introduce myself first. So my name is Jonna Fred-Jokela. I work as a technical specialist and architect at Microsoft. I've been with the company for 4 years now. Before that, I worked at one of our partners as a consultant for some years, and during these 4 years, I have been working with our data and AI technologies and stack in Azure. So that's my focus area. covering AI naturally, but also analytics, BI, and other data related topics as well. So that's me. And today I have prepared some material related to AI. And since this is a learning circle, it would be nice to have, I mean, if you have questions or something like that, to have it kind of interactive. But let's see how it goes, because we have quite many participants. So but I guess we could try to use the chat, and I will try to also monitor that in case there are some questions or some kind of comments or topics that you would specifically like to raise. But the practical AI course or micro degree, it's about getting you started with the use of Gen AI, and how you could use it in your work and also in your free time. And there is quite a lot of content on the course, so we are not going to of course cover everything, everything that could be related to Gen AI, but I just thought that it would be nice to go through the kind of what AI is briefly, and then I will also introduce you our services in Azure related to AI, and also other Microsoft AI related services. There are plenty of them, so that you kind of know that what type of services there are, and also maybe you could already kind of find something that is kind of interesting for you, or something you might want to go through more in detail. And let's see, I also have a demo prepared, so if we have time for that, I can also show you one of our products in more detail. But if we get started with the reason why we are here, so the AI technology, and especially Gen AI, it has been here for more than a year now, like Gen AI specifically, and the large language models. AI itself, it's old thing, and so it's not new, has been there for decades. But what happened a bit more than a year ago, the large language models came out, and also the Gen AI, so generative AI, came out, meaning that we now have the technology and the capabilities to actually do a lot of different kind of things with AI, and also quite easily. So it's very accessible nowadays for basically anyone. And also now organizations are thinking at the moment that most of them, that AI will be a crucial part for them, or crucial thing for them in the future to be competitive. So this means that the organizations will take Gen AI and AI into use, and already have taken into use, also in Finland. Many of the enterprises have done that. But that means, of course, for the individuals, if you are an employee, if you are someone who is implementing things, or building this kind of intelligent solutions, that you should be aware of what's happening in AI, and hopefully kind of educating yourself as well. So if we go into what is AI, so starting from the very beginning, so AI itself, it's basically an ability that the machine is able to perform some kind of cognitive functions. And what we mean by this is that it can do things that we kind of think that humans are able to do. So, for example, to reason, or to learn, or to interact with its environment, and that these are like these kind of capabilities that humans do, and then AI would do, or it would be an AI if it can do one of these kind of things. But now, since we have generative AI, I think we have kind of taken a step further in a way. So generative AI can also generate content, which is novel. So it's not just about an AI being able to interact with it in its environment, but it's also able to do it so that it's like original, and it can be or it can at least feel for the humans that it's creative, and it's not like something that has been hard coded into a program, like how the AI would function and interact, but it's novel. So generative AI can generate different kind of content. So it could be text, images, music, code, and that actually gives a lot of use cases for Gen AI now, and it can be used in various ways, and we will discuss that in detail a bit later. But also one thing with Gen AI is that it's also able to learn and adjust. So when it's having interaction with users, it can then kind of learn and adapt based on how the conversation has been going with the user. So it's learning along the way. So that's also quite interesting and revolutionary. So if we go into the like quite on high level, very high level, like what generative AI can do for you. So as I said, it can generate content and it can generate code, but it can also do semantic search. And what this means is that it can search and find you things, for example, from documents or from internet. And since it's semantic, it means that it doesn't need to be, word by word, meaning that if you say that you want to find information about, for example, what could I say as an example? Well, for example, about data, it could also bring you results related to, for example, information, because, well, it's not quite the same, but it's almost the same, and it could kind of understand from the context that you are not necessarily meaning just data when you are asking your question, but it could be also something else that you're meaning. So it's really able to find you the results that you probably or hopefully are looking for. And also it's able to make summarizations, for example. So let's say in Teams now we have this capability that it's narrating everything. I think already right now we are having the recording on. So we will get a transcript of the meeting and what I've been talking here. And it's also able to give me a summary of the things, what I've said. So kind of picking the key points and the key things during the meeting in couple of bullet points. So that's also something that you can do with generative AI already right now. And of course, this is something that can help individuals a lot, but also organizations. These are some of our customers, but like I just wanted to get it here as an example of kind of what kind of things organizations are doing. So for example, with GitHub Copilot, I will tell you a bit more about that later as well. But basically it helps you to generate code and be better coder, explain you how your code is functioning or what you should do and so forth. So the customer is feeling that, the Copilot takes them like almost there. And then the people only needs to kind of adjust or kind of fine tune in a way the result. So it's a huge productivity improvement, but it could also be a lot more nicer for the developers to have this kind of like helper in the work. The same applies, or similar kind of approach in a way for Komatsu. So their people are now having more time for high value tasks. For example, let's say that they are having this kind of solution, which is finding them information or relevant information from a lot of documents. So previously, maybe somebody went through manually like all the different documents and tried to find, some details from there. But now the Gen AI can simply just, give you the result, and the employee can do something else and something nicer and more valuable than going through the documents manually. And also one area where Gen AI is interesting and important nowadays is also the cybersecurity. So it's able to find anomalies and detect different kind of weird things that are happening. And for example, it can be used to detect fraud cases in finance sector. So I will now check the chat. Someone said something. Okay, it was Vipa. So never mind. Let's continue. So and remember, you can send questions or comments or whatnot if you feel like it. So about the application. So after all, I think because we are now part of we are Mimmit Koodaa, so we are probably interested in developing stuff and coding. So for the applications perspective, the Gen AI is of course a huge thing because it allows us to add this kind of intelligence into the applications in a way that wasn't possible before. So and we are seeing this at our customers a lot, that they are thinking how to do things differently nowadays. So here are a couple of examples how that's visible. So for example, the interactions. So previously you had to hard code or almost hard code different kind of dialogues with your customers, for example, let's say some kind of chat service, and that was pretty much hard coded. Now you can have the Gen AI. You don't need to hard code it anyhow. It's this kind of natural language discussion. The user feels that almost that like he or she is talking with the. Sorry. Okay. Probably someone unmuted themselves accidentally. Yeah, so it will feel like they're speaking with a human being, and it can be very in a way free format. So as a developer, you don't even need to anticipate all the possible replies or questions that the user is asking, because it doesn't really matter because the AI is able to cope with them. The other thing is this, hard coding in many, in different ways in the applications, and you being able to move into more data-driven approach. One example of this is, for example, that one of my customers has built a solution, for example, that when they are receiving emails of well, in their business, the emails can contain information that they need, and they need to kind of pick the information from the emails so that it's then filled into another system and processed. But the problem is that the emails can be whatever format because people are writing them, and it's very hard to it was previously very hard to build a solution that was able to pick the right information because the format is not fixed. It can be anything. And also they might use some synonyms in a way. So maybe some email they say that it's city, and then in some email they say it's municipality. And previously it was very hard to solve this kind of case. But now they are using the Gen AI. So what they do is that they basically just send the email to the Gen AI and ask it to find the city and the address and whatever information from the email. And then the Gen AI is providing that as a JSON file, and that JSON file has a certain format. So they are then able to just push that forward to the other systems. So they weren't, they didn't need to build any kind of custom application and anything to try to figure out how to pick the information from the email, but they just send it to the AI and it's doing the job. And also for the coding piece, as I already said, there are a lot of copilots now. So this kind of helpers to implement things, to code, to develop things, and that's making things faster. So it will be faster to build new kind of features as well. At this point, we will move on to the Microsoft technologies piece. So like going through a bit what kind of technologies we have related to AI. But before we jump into that, I just wanted to show you this slide because at least our customers are asking this a lot, and probably you might be asking this as well. So just to say that in Azure AI, we are not storing the data or your data, and we are not, we are not using it for example, training AI models. So your data will be there where you kind of left it and where you want to store it. It won't be moved or copied anywhere, and it won't be used in training. And also that it's the data is protected and processed with like highest security. So these are some things that we are, or some questions that we are getting constantly. But it's also good to know for you that this is how we are treating the data and the customer data and then processing it. Okay. Then to copilots. I kind of assume that most of you at least have heard about copilots, because nowadays we have copilots everywhere. So we invented this, this copilot term. I think GitHub Copilot was one of the first ones, actually. But nowadays it's everywhere. So even if you are using, Edge as your browser and Bing, you have copilots there. And if you are using Azure, there are like copilots in Azure, copilots for different data products, copilots in Teams, in different Office products, and so forth. So there is copilot for everything basically nowadays. And the idea of the copilot is that it's a built-in like AI helper for that particular application and for that particular like need basically. So for example, in Office, let's say in PowerPoint, it can help you to create PowerPoint decks and slides. For example, in GitHub, when we talk about coding, it can help you to generate code. It can explain you how some code works and what it's doing. It can help you to find and figure out different kind of problems or errors in your code, and so forth. So we have this kind of copilots which are like application specific in a way, and they are great for that. But then most likely there will be, at least for organizations, there are needs to create their own copilots that know their organization and their business. And then we start to talk about customizing copilots. So it's not possible to customize, at least to at least a lot the existing copilots that we have in the different products, but instead you can start to build your own copilot. And there are a couple of ways to do that. So you can use either the Microsoft Copilot Studio, which is a low-code approach, basically maybe to extend the existing copilots that we already have. Or then you can go with Azure AI Studio, which is a pro-code approach. So in a way, you can do basically anything with that. And then you can, of course, pick which way you want to go, or which makes more sense for your use case. We also launched or published this Copilot framework. I think it's almost a year now. And basically the idea is that we wanted to kind of introduce this Copilot stack to the developers and to the world in a way that how you could build your own Copilot, and we are using this same framework ourselves when we are building Copilots. So that's like something that we have tested, and we know that it works, and we just we are giving in a way the tools for then the developers to build the Copilots they need or their organization needs as well. And the idea here is that you have the the applications and the application layer here, and your Copilots, or it could be our Copilots, or extending them with plugins. But we need to have the AI orchestration piece in the middle, which means that figuring out what the AI is doing, like underneath, and how it's built basically, and then how it looks like for the UI. So if we think this, the upper part as the the UI layer, so the user interface, and then the bottom part is the back end, so to say. So so figuring out what happens here in the between, because quite often in the solutions we are talking about conversations. So some user is having a conversation with the AI. So we are kind of sending data and stuff back and forth here, and trying to make it so that it makes sense, but also that the AI is able to have meaningful conversations with the user. And then at the back end, what happens is that we have the foundational models. These are then the Gen AI models, and most likely you are not building your own models, because these are huge models. I will show you a bit later in the demo, like, there's a huge catalog of those. We have built our own. OpenAI has its own. Different providers have their own. But you can, pick the model that makes sense for you and in your use case. And then you need your data, of course, because the AI has to be, or should be probably, aware of your organization and your data. Otherwise, it's not able to give, answers that would help the users really. So the data could be in format of databases, or it could be documents, or websites, or whatever. But you just have to kind of inform and have it so that the AI is able to effectively fetch the data and find the right answers and replies in a way from the data. And then, of course, we need the AI infrastructure as well. We need the compute and everything, and that we have in Azure available. Yeah, but that's kind of the framework on top of which we could then build our Copilots. And maybe another take of the same picture as well. So I have here now kind of also the Copilot Studio and then the AI Studio piece. So as I said, the Copilot Studio is kind of low-code approach to build or extend, in a way, the Copilot. And these are mostly like conversational AI solutions, so more like chatbots. And it's more on the UX side, and then kind of adding your own data there easily. But then if we need something more complex, or more like adjusted for your use case, then we go into the Azure side and into the Azure technologies, and we can use AI Studio in Azure. The AI Studio, which I could demo you a bit later, that the idea is that it's this kind of one-stop shop for all AI development. So it could be also beyond Copilot. So it doesn't mean that you need to always build a Copilot and something you have conversation with. It could be something else as well. But you can build basically anything you want. And the idea is that everything is in one tool. So you don't need to kind of jump back and forth between different technologies in Azure. And you can pick basically any model from the catalog, and it provides integration with different AI orchestration frameworks. Well, PromptFlow I will show you. Semantic kernel and LangChain are SDKs. Or LangChain is Python library, but basically SDKs for building this kind of orchestration for the AI. And the AI Studio, it also integrates with other Azure products and services if you, for example, have data in Fabric or in some other place. And one thing we didn't discuss yet was this safety and security side. So in our products and also in AI Studio, when you are developing, we have the built-in content safety on, which means that there are like built-in controls and measures for kind of ensuring that the AI usage is safe. So, for example, it can detect if there are, I don't know, like violence or something like abusive content or whatnot, and it can then, block or filter or whatnot. And that kind of applies both ways. So it could be that the user is trying to ask the AI to do or tell something that is not okay, or that the AI would, for example, find such content from, let's say, online or from somewhere, and then it would provide it to the user. So we are having these kind of mechanisms that, either way that won't happen. And you can adjust the controls as well. So how strict you want to be with these different controls in your solution. But that's quite nice because you don't need to start to build yourself a mechanism for that. And it's especially important when and if you are building a solution for like customer interface, or like for in an organization, for example, for customers. Let's say that it's a chatbot for some grocery store or for some bank or whatnot. It cannot have that kind of, content, or the AI cannot be like, providing that kind of content or kind of commenting on that kind of comment or whatnot. If we then look a bit from further back in a way, we also have other AI things in Azure. So it's not just AI Studio. I know this slide has quite a lot of things. I hope you're able to see the text. But AI Studio is here at the top. Kind of, as I said, the one-stop shop for the AI development. And then we have all these different kind of models available, for example, through the AI Studio and from the model catalog. The GPT models are quite popular nowadays, actually, from OpenAI. But there are also other types of models. So there are also open source models. And then there's this model as a service approach as well. So you can also kind of buy a model from some other company in a way and use it. So if you don't want to use the models that are already kind of provided, but it's like some more like niche type of model, for example, you could kind of like buy it from a marketplace type of thing and then start using it. And then we also have these small language models as well available. And maybe at this point, I guess it would be good to kind of distinguish between large language models as small language models, because it's sometimes even actually a bit hard to say which one to use or which one is better in a way. And this is a field which is developing like very rapidly. And for example, it might be that in 1 year we have something else than large or small language models. But right now, large language models are the kind of the more like mainstream thing. The idea is that the model has been trained with a very extensive data set, and it can have a deep neural network with billions or trillions of parameters. So it's huge model, and that's why it's able to be so flexible in a way, and it's able to do so many things. But it's huge, and the focus with this kind of training is that it's able to generalize and it's able to learn, and that's what it's doing. Whereas a small language model, it's well, the training set data set is smaller, so we talk about millions or billions parameters. It's still huge compared to what it used to be, like before these language models came out. But it's still small or smaller, and the neural network is shallower. And usually with smaller language models, at least like right now, the focus is more on the performance. So it's smaller and it's faster and it takes less. It requires less capacity, so to say. So less hardware, less memory, less whatever. But it's usually also so that it's not that good with variety of tasks. So it's more like meant for a certain type of set of tasks, so to say. So it doesn't generalize that well, and it might be that it's not that good with like very complex tasks. But the small language models, it's a field that it's like developing fast as well. So it will be interesting to see what they can do in the future. But yeah, we now kind of jumped into a bit different topic in a way, but just wanted to open them up if that is something that you have been thinking about. But then we have also other AI services. So, for example, we have AI search, which is meant for indexing information and documents. And this is something that is quite often used in AI solutions, because the purpose of this is that when you have your data, it's like it can be a lot of data. When the AI comes and starts searching, it needs to be somehow ordered, and that's what we do with indexing. So when it then tries to find quickly what's the right answer for the question, with the indexing, it can quickly find that and return it to the user. So it's important to have the indexing correct as well and well built. But the AI search can help with that kind of portion in the solution. Then AI document intelligence, that's more like reading different kind of documents and images. So if you have scanned documents, for example, or some drawings, technical drawings or whatnot, it's able to convert that into text or some other formats, so that it's readable in a way for the AI as well, and it can be also indexed then for the search. Then there are capabilities related to speech or language or vision translation. So, for example, producing speech from text to speech, or translating between different languages, or understanding sentiment from the text. So, what kind of feeling the person has who wrote or spoke the text, and so forth. So these different kind of capabilities are there as well. And you can, of course, use these services like alone as well. So if you have a very specific use case that you want to, for example, understand what's in an image, then you could use the AI vision for that. And then at the bottom we have the Azure machine learning. So if you have been doing machine learning stuff previously, this is probably quite familiar to you, but it's a tool. It's a tool obviously, but tool for machine learning and model training, but also for kind of end-to-end like ML ops lifecycle as well. So how to do that. So it could be useful for some use cases, even with Gen AI. Okay. I know we have now 20 minutes left, so I will jump a bit. Just wanted to kind of quickly maybe touch upon where the companies are now progressing, because I thought that it might be kind of interesting for you to also hear where the companies are and what they're doing. As I said in the beginning, quite a lot of companies are already implementing things. Some of them have already solutions in production. But how the companies are starting with is usually through POCs. So quickly building a proof of concept and trying out, if this makes sense or if this is helping us. And from there, they move to the first production use cases. And then they start to build more like their capabilities in managing more of this kind of solutions and wider range of solutions. So what we mean with this, like this third bullet point is more like the operations of these large language models and these kind of Gen AI solutions, and how to do that, like deploy them and manage them and operate them at scale. And that's not a simple task in a way, or simple thing in a way, because organizations are different, solutions are different. So it's not necessarily like one size fits all type of approach, but there are some like some best practices how to do these things at scale. And then they usually start with kind of external support or external help. So usually consulting companies, kind of bringing in this kind of new information and new skills related to AI. And then after that, kind of educating themselves for the technology and educating the business as well, so that the business is able to use these solutions, but also they are able to bring ideas how AI could help the business in the future. So what could be the next solutions? That's actually quite important step, because it doesn't make sense to build these AI solutions otherwise, other than if they help the business and help the users somehow. So, but the ideas come from the business side or from the users usually. IT is it is traditionally they are not quite good at inventing or coming up with what's really helpful for the end users, because they are not doing the tasks and the work that the business people are doing. And kind of from the technical perspective, how this journey is going is that usually the exploration starts with this kind of like chat capability, which is only kind of has information of the internet, from the internet, so kind of public information. Then from there, usually the next step is to go with your own data and see how the chat is, how it works. And from there, you start to add more complex capabilities like the document intelligence or the search capabilities, and kind of also building the operations side. And then you start to be in a place where you can actually start to implement your own copilots, which are for you or for your organization, for example, and other AI use cases that are really helping out you or your organization. So that kind of things we are right now seeing, and at least many of my customers are somewhere here right now. So in 1 year, they have went this journey, and they are somewhere between scaling and innovating at the moment. Then maybe one last slide before I go into the demo. So this is usually the LLM lifecycle, what's happening when we are building this kind of Gen AI solution. So we of course need to have the business need or the need from the users, why or what we are building. in the first place. And then we go into this kind of cycle where we are kind of exploring. So what this means is that we are trying different things. We are also finding the right LLM. So as I mentioned, there are different kind of foundational models. So usually they test out different models. So there are newer models, there are older models, there are bigger models, smaller models. And of course, usually the bigger the model, the more expensive it is. So quite often there is also this kind of like balancing between, what works and what is enough and how much it costs, and then trying to find the right fit for the use case. And then also trying the different prompts. And I will show you in the demo what the prompts are shortly. But then you actually start moving into the deployment. So you start to kind of, fine tune, you start to do the prompt engineering, exception handling, retrieval augmented generation. So RAG, that refers to the process where you are fetching or retrieving the information from some documents or from some knowledge base using the search. So, but you are starting to build these kind of things. And then once you get something out and you deploy it really, you have to have the monitoring capabilities. You have to have the kind of the safe rollout and staging, content filtering, and also the UI layer ready and deployed. And especially this staging and rollout is quite important because these models, there are new revisions and versions coming out constantly. So, and then the oldest ones get, at some point they deprecate. So you kind of are in a world where you have to be able to update the model, not constantly necessarily, but at least at some point. So you kind of have to have a kind of functionality to do that and have that working nicely, so that it's not a huge hassle when the version is changing. But of course, you also need to test it and test a new version so that nothing breaks, or not necessarily nothing breaks, but that the responses from the AI are what's expected as well. Okay. I will now, we have 10 minutes left. I will now show you the demo quickly. I'm so sorry, I'm a bit late from my schedule. I hope that you're able to see my screen. If someone can, show thumbs up or something.
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. So this is the Azure AI Studio, and we are not going to go through all the things that we have here because we don't have time for that. But I just want to show you a couple of things. Firstly, as I said, this is end-to-end. So, and one place where you can find everything, and you can provision it in Azure. So you can do it right away if you want to. But we have the model catalog here. So you can, search and try out different kind of models if you want to. And as you can see, we have, things from Microsoft, but also from Hugging Face, OpenAI, Meta, Mistral, whatnot, Databricks, and so forth. So you can find pretty much anything from here already. And you can also benchmark and compare the different models and, their accuracy or performance or whatnot to try to figure out what's the best model for you. And we also have the prompt catalog. So some kind of like samples, how to get started with the prompting for different use cases. So you don't need to start from scratch. But we can also build here your own solutions if you want to. And I have now done some things here, but I can show you a bit how it looks. So one thing you can do is the playground where you can start, and there you can you could add your own data as well. We don't now have here data, but let's ask it something. Okay. I will refresh my browser because it was open quite long. Okay, now I'm having a nice demo effect. Okay, now it's more promising. Okay, yeah, so it will answer me an answer to my question. But then what you can also do is that you can, try how the prompting is changing the behavior of the AI. So you can, for example, tell it that answer through or answer with poem. So the prompts are the thing that are used to tell the Gen AI what it should do and how it should do things. And these prompts can actually be like super long for like real use cases. And the prompting is actually it's not that simple. So so now we got it as a poem, but it's not that simple because for example, it has been studied by universities that it's more effective to tell like positive, like through positive that, this is what you should do, or this is what is expected, rather than saying that you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. So, for example, that kind of things are, affecting how effectively, this prompt is actually working. And then another thing that was studied was that if you're, for example, saying that, oh, please don't do this, but it was studied that if you say, for example, that the correctness of this answer is, or if you answer this incorrectly, someone will die, or something like this, like it's life-threatening situation, it will give better results than if you don't say that. So it's kind of like more like instructing maybe a human and try to persuade the human to do the right thing rather than coding, because it's its own art, maybe even the prompting. But anyways, you can here kind of play around, try different models and different settings, and then the prompt flow is then where you actually might go if you start to build like more complex solutions. And we don't have time to go through this in detail, and this kind of look pretty scary as well. But the idea with prompt flow is this is the AI orchestration tool. So the idea is that you're actually orchestrating and telling what happens in a way and how things are working. So in my example, I hope you're able to see it. So in my example, when an input comes from the user, we are determining the intent, and we have here the kind of this block here, and we have the prompt for that, how the AI should determine the intent. So this is the prompt for for it to do that. Then we extract the intent. So we are extracting what exactly the person is asking or wants, and we are doing a retrieval of, in this case, it's product or customer information, but we are retrieving information from documents that we have indexed. And then we are retrieving the right documents and the right answers. And we are kind of formatting and determining and building the reply for the user. So, and then here you can do, flexibly whatever you want in a way and kind of build the logic. But this is one tool to do this. And as you probably understand, this is like for more complex use cases in a way where you usually start to use this. But basically there are a lot of, there could be code as well here. Like for example, here we have some Python happening, but a lot of variables as well to kind of, bounce the things around. But it can look a bit scary in the beginning. Then fine tuning, if that's needed, you could do it. You can also manage your indexes here. So for the search part, the content filters, but then I will also show you the deployments quickly. So I have now then created my own, from the prompt flow I just showed. So I have an endpoint for this deployment. I can consume it, so I can get the REST endpoint and the keys, and also some examples how to consume it in different languages. I can monitor it, but I can also test it. So I will ask what set bought, and hopefully it works. Yes. So it will now, in my case, fetch the purchases of the purchase that this user did, and I will get the different orders and the items that he purchased. And these are now coming from the document. So these are, if I now remember correctly, text files in my Azure storage. So it's picking them from there. Yeah. Okay. But that was like super quick, super quick demo of AI Studio. There are a lot of other things that you could do as well, but maybe the main functionalities in a way at this point. I know we have like 1 minute left. Are there any questions or comments at this point? Okay, demo looks very exciting. Thanks, Victoria. What learning pathways would you recommend for AI enthusiasts without coding skills? Well, that's an interesting question. Of course, the practical AI degree that we have now that Vipa also mentioned, I think that's a very good starting point. And you don't need to do you can get the credits for that. You don't need to necessarily get the credits if you don't want to. But that's something that gives quite good overview for the topic in a way. And then we do have different kind of learning content in, for example, Microsoft Learn. So if you don't have any coding skills, I think that you should maybe start with the Copilots and also the Copilot Studio. And the Copilot Studio, that was the one with low code capability. So it's more like maybe drag and drop type of tool. So you don't need to, write code yourself. So it's a very kind of easy way to get started with if you want to start building your own solutions as well. But that was a good question. Good. I think that we are now on time. I hope that it was a useful session for you. And yeah, hopefully you learned new things and it was useful. Please provide feedback for the session as well, so that we know that should we have more of these kind of learning circles or about some other topics or whatnot. But it was a pleasure for me to be here and to present to you. And hopefully you will now go out and maybe try out some AI stuff. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jonna. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you, Vipa. Thank you all. Bye.